All right, I believe we're on. Wayne Riddin, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
Oh, thanks very much, Brett. We've been watching your podcast for so many years now. So, you're really keeping the info out there for all of the swimming families.
I appreciate it, mate. Well, what I'm trying to do is kind of just put a spotlight on people that are doing amazing things around the world in the sport of swimming. And I've had a couple of South Africans on my show already. And every time I have one on, I get a group of messages that tell me, you got to have Wayne Riddin on. You got to have Wayne Riddin on. So I'm like, okay, all right, let me track him down and see if he'll come on for me. So I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, no problem at all.
So for the people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, you've been in swimming for forever and been a leader in South Africa forever, but give us a little bit of your background if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's very difficult to, 44 years of coaching. I started when I was 18. I had to put myself to university, but I think I received 30 rands for some fuel in those days, and I was declared a professional by our local district. So I went into the coaching fully. And yeah, 44 years later, I look back and I say to myself, wow, it's quite a journey that you travel with so many of these top swimmers. And I've been privileged in what we've managed to do. But obviously a swimming background, I came from here in little Pietermaritzburg. And, from 18, the kids were very young. And my first Olympic swimmer was Daryl Cronje, who came along here, very tall young guy, and ended up under Sam Freeze at LSU. It was the first scholarship that we had sent the swimmers over to the United States. And Hugh Ross was with him as well at LSU. So, there's a big connection to South Africans in the United States now, following the swimmers was Brendan Dedekind, who's actually in Orlando now.
Yeah.
He was the Olympic swimmer in 1996 and again in 2000, having been a finalist in that 50 free. Nick Falco, who's also coaching out in Hawaii now. So the group has just got bigger and bigger. So I'm I'm the only South African coach who's had a swimmer at the Olympics every year since 1992. So
wow.
It's my own personal sort of like achievement that I keep on trying to make sure that we get somebody new at the Olympics each year. Brad Tandy has just announced his retirement. He came from a smaller town called Ladysmith and was one of our top sprinters. Eventually I convinced him how good he could be. He was from a coach, Ivan Ball. And his career then took off once he had got to the States, going to Indian River and off to Arizona. So, yeah. The United States college system has done a lot for us.
Yeah. And then recently, I guess you've had success with Matt Sates. Is that correct?
Yeah, Matthew started with me as a little 8-year-old. So he's been with me for 10 years. And he's brought a lot more joy because, a lot of the times, the facilities we got here in South Africa sometimes not quite good enough. But I've always wanted to achieve that highest level with a swimmer before they went to the United States. And we sort of got there with Darian Townsend in 2004 when he was part of that famous South African relay team. And Darian now also one of the coaches coming through in the United States as well, across in Arizona. Yeah. So, now Matt Sates last year, the World Juniors was cancelled. And we had sort of made the Olympic team very late. So it was, what do we do on the training program? We can't do another full cycle to Olympic Games. So I wasn't expecting, too much, but I think making the semi-final for the Trinidad AM was great. And I set sights on the World Cup and didn't really tell anybody what was going down there because it was basically off what Darian Townsend had done in 2009 when he broke the world record in the 200 meters individual medley in Berlin.
Yeah, there's, when I look at Matt, he's an incredible athlete and he's doing some outstanding things. Just had success winning his first NCAA title at Georgia, coming in just 3 months in and kind of learning the ropes and figuring out short course yard swimming. But when I look at him, Wayne, he's not an imposing figure. But when I hear stories of him, I hear that he's got the heart of a lion. I mean, this kid, is kind of put in the same vein as kind of the next Chad Leclos, somebody that loves to compete, somebody that loves to train and is just physically tough, but not physically imposing. Would you agree?
Yes, we didn't sort of push the sort of weight work or gym work, strength work too much. We concentrated on the swimming. One of Matt's biggest advantages, he's not scared of doing anything in the water. When you challenge him to something in a set, you'll always have a go at it. I always measure what he's going to produce in the times he's doing in training, and he always steps up to the mark when he's got to produce a result. And he trusts the program, which is something quite important. If the swimmers aren't trusting the program, it becomes very difficult. I think Matt's decisions as he gets older are going to get a little bit tougher. It's not that easy now if you want to then go on the pro circuit and everything like that. It may not be as easygoing as what he's had up until now. But as tough as nails when it comes to training. And Chad Leclerc and him trained at the beginning of last year, and they produced some really amazing sets, and I just wish that we could get a few more training partners for Matt, because I'd like him to try and carry on with the programs we basically have structured up until this period, because, he's a unique individual medley swimmer. We had to work hard on his backstroke, and it'll be nice to try and get people following the program that Matt does instead of Matt having to adjust to somebody else's program.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be able to pull some people in to be able to keep up with him? I mean, he seems like he can handle a lot of work. Is there enough of a pool of athletes in South Africa, or would he have to go and look in other programs to get those training partners?
Well, we got a number of options. I think, I'm obviously talking to Rocco Meiring, who's very successful up in the Tuks University side. I know he's had a chat to you about a few things. So we're looking at possibly taking another young guy Peter could see, and getting Matt and him to work a little bit closer together. And then Rocco and I will work together with the two guys coming up. But I do believe that these guys need a little bit more than staying at home. They've got to go out and compete a lot more. So we've got to identify the meets that are going to work for them. The United States has always got that draw card for every swimmer. And I've been traveling there since 1992 with swimming groups. And majority of our swimmers that have ended up on scholarship over there, have done a trip with me first. And our favorite area is obviously Florida because of the weather. Swimming Hall of Fame, competing there has always been a great one. We couldn't compete in the last trip that we had. So with the new revamped Hall of Fame, I'm keen to get back there next year again. So I'm sure Matt will be around with us, at all of those training camps.
That's all. Now, he's obviously just made this decision to leave Georgia and turn professional. Did you have any say in that? Were you able to kind of talk him through any of that decision making, or did he just bring it to you and say, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think he was thriving on the fact that he was racing with people like Luca Orlando and the friends that he was meeting in Georgia. And it was probably the bigger decision for him to make than people thought. But the bottom line is, he had to take the difficult decision between, I need to train hard, I like to train hard, and I'm doing 2 sessions a day. What do I do in between? He normally goes home and rests. He's not a guy that will go out and socialize or anything like that. And I think the college system was taking its toll. You arrived there very late, 15 days or 10 days or so late. He had to play a bit of catch up. And I just felt that, it was a little bit too overwhelming for him. He's still quite a young kid. And the decision, I thought, was actually a little bit more mature. At the end of the day, he said, I want to swim really well this year at World Champs and at Commonwealth Games. So the decision is, to do the work that he needed to do on the academic side. He just didn't feel that it was going to allow him to swim the speeds that he wants to swim. So quite a decision for anybody. And, only time will tell. Time is never enough in swimming, but, time will tell whether it was the right decision or not.
Wayne, I know you've been an advocate for swimming in your country for many years. Has it been frustrating for you to not get the improvements as fast as you want them in terms of facilities maybe and maybe things that even funding and things like that? Is it difficult for you to see your best athletes, get them to a certain point and then head off to America?
Yeah, it is. It's very frustrating for us because, effectively there's been a number of swimmers who, just didn't have the finances behind them with their parents to be able to go much further. We've been fortunate from our swimming club here, SEALs in South Africa, one of the older swimming clubs still surviving in South Africa, that we organized that aQuellé Midmar Mile, you know, which is in its 50th anniversary next year. And the funding from there is, you know, passed down to the club. So whatever profits we make from that event, and it holds the Guinness Book of Records as the largest open water swimming event in the world. So we take pride in that, and that's what I've got to do as another part of the job at the club. And then we take the funds from that and try and help all the swimmers as far as we can. So we've helped a lot of swimmers that have ended up in the States by giving them their first trips there and things like that. But it is frustrating. Where do we get funds from? We try every year to try and see if we can draw more funds in to help our top swimmers. We, at the moment, have got huge number of swimmers, talented group of swimmers. I don't know why they always come from South Africa. I mean, I look at this Lara van Niekerk, who's been produced by Eugene de Ponte. Very similar situation to myself and Matt. Started off at, you know, tender age of 8 years old, and they spent this 10 years developing to where she's now. And she went and beat Tatiana Schoenmaker at our championships last week. You know, 105.6s, you know, they really high up in the world, you know, in the 29.7, you know, breaking the Africa and South Africa record in the 50 meter. So she's one of the top ranked in the world at the moment. And that's all from Eugene, you know, and Eugene was actually part of the first junior trip that I had swimmers on. He was a swimmer in those days. And Dean Price and myself were the coaches. So, you know, it's nice to see guys like that, you know, eventually developing a swimmer of that sort of level, you know, and he's very modest about it, you know, and really they're doing great. So you're going to see her on the world stage to a large extent. We tried to get funding for her last year to go on the Swimming World Cup with us. I think she would have really, you know, turned everybody's heads there already. So I'm hoping that we can, you know, help her through this year, because I think she'll really be on the world stage properly.
We individualize training in the pool, so why not individualize your nutrition? Erica Beine of Beine Wellness Building will help you and your swimmers get exactly what each athlete needs through genetic testing and personalized nutrition plans. So stop guessing what you should and shouldn't be putting into your body. Athletes within a few weeks have noticed they're recovering faster because they're fueling their body with what they need and staying away from what their body hates. Erica understands swimming. She gets it. She's worked with over 20 Olympians, including the fastest man in the world, Caleb Dressel. Group discounts are available, so go to Beine Wellness Building and get in touch with Erica today. That's Beine, B-E-I-N-E, wellnessbuilding.net. Yeah, mate, there's always so much talent coming out of South Africa. I mean, the kids that come out are world class, you know, real quickly. And it's like, wow, I mean, this is incredible, the amount of talent. What do you think what's it attributed to? You know, why are so many people swimming in South Africa? Why is there so much talent coming out of there? And I have more questions beyond that, but just in terms of that, what do you think?
Well, and I do believe that it starts off with the coaches. The coaches are very dedicated and passionate here.
Right.
You know, the kids start off at a young age. Our school system, our primary school system, is involving a lot of competition in the summer. In South Africa, you're getting more and more schools at high school level, especially heating swimming pools and having indoor facilities. So a lot of coaches are heading towards that. And yeah, the South Africans want to work hard. I do find that the average training in our situation, that the kids are tough. We went through a phase where the boys weren't as tough, and now they're coming back again. So I think every country is going to have its cycles. But the school system at our primary school level, our junior school level, does set them up into going to compete, and then we can find out, do a lot more talent identification. So you take those together with the coaches that we've got that are really passionate about what they're doing. I think it just argues for a really good endpoint, you know, like where the kids can go and compete. I do feel though that the structure of our competitions need to change once again. We haven't had a good experience now in our trials that we've just had. But our juniors, you know, they start from 10 and under already at a high level. So, you know, I think we should concentrate on seeing how we don't lose those swimmers at a young age that are doing well.
Yeah. Would you say there's a general philosophy in South Africa? You know, sometimes when you look at a certain country, you say, well, there's a general philosophy that country kind of adheres to. What would be the general philosophy in South Africa when it comes to coaching swimmers?
Well, you know, it's not easy to find jobs in South Africa. You know, the South Africa has a fairly high unemployment rate. So that's why I say that the coaches really want to produce something. So there's the need to produce as well as the, you know, the passion for the sport. And I think those two things go down pretty good for any country, really. And, you know, we have a lot of competitions. Competition will always make swimmers better.
Right.
I think the competitions will make the coaches better as well.
Right, right. What about in terms of coaching, education, and staying ahead of the times and kind of where swimming is going? I mean, obviously you got swimmers coming out and getting on the world stage, so you're doing a lot of things right. How do you guys educate yourself? Is there sharing amongst the coaches? Do you support each other, or is it, you know, are they working against each other? What's the setup down there?
Well, you know, I think right from the days of Penny Haynes, you know, doing really well out there, you know, still the sort of leading breaststroker of all time with 2 gold medals at an Olympics. And I think from that point onwards, there was a lot of sharing. You know, you've got people like Peter Williams, who was at Olympics himself, who's now a leading coach in South Africa. You've got the old coaches who he fell under at the time. And all those coaches come together on a fairly regular basis, you know, at least twice a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year, depending on which tournaments they go to. And they share a lot of information. But Swimming South Africa themselves have got their own education process where, you know, to become a level 1 coach, you've got to do certain courses. So there's a lot of control here, which is a little bit of a pain for us older coaches who have already, you know, sort of achieved something. So we have a, you know, reference to our prior sort of coaching that we've done. So we were fortunate. But for any new coach here, it's not an easy one to suddenly jump up to become a level 1, 2, or 3 coach. So I think that the policies they've put in place for coaches to get onto the pool deck is making it good that we have got educated coaches to start off. And, you know, the experience from people like Graham Hill, who eventually, you know, with Chad Leclos in 2012, doing what he did, and Cameron van der Berg, you know, all those coaches have continued giving an input to South African swimming. So I think that whole combination is letting us go forward in the right direction. I do feel that we still could make it better, though, and it will actually show a lot more force, because our relays is something that I worked on for the year 2000 when I went to Sydney with the team, and 4 years later they went to win that relay. Now I think we're on the similar track now, where we're trying to get a little bit more depth by adding the relays into it, and looking at what we've got at the moment. There's certainly something special that we can actually produce even for, you know, Paris and 4 years later, and these kids could still be swimming, you know, at Paris and another 4 years. So I think we need to look after them and try and get those relays to be a lot faster.
Right. What about your stars in South Africa? Are they doing enough? Are they putting themselves out there in terms of leadership when it comes to promotion of the sport? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know what it's like down there, but I've actually never been to South Africa, Wayne. I want to come and visit. So I'm trying to get there. I'd love to come out, but I'm kind of blind. I'm like, well, what is it? How, you know, I've seen pictures and I hear about it, but until you get there, you don't really know. So I'm painting a picture from the people that I talk to, you know. So tell me what it's like to be a swim star in South Africa.
Oh, I'm going to talk on the top of my head here now. You know, if you came to South Africa, you know, it's easy for us to show the numbers we're working with. You know, they're fairly small compared to a huge, you know, club that Rocco Meiring has now ended up with. I mean, it's an amazing what he's done, because he's got that education facility right there by him. You know, his hands are tied in what he can do, you know, because he's actually working for the university.
Right.
But he's produced, you know, to have 2 Olympians last year. You know, I was fortunate to be there by his side, you know, and the pride that I saw in him when Tatiana did what she did, and Kayleen Corbett in the 200 breaststroke final, you know, what she did. that was a special moment, you know, and it's something which shows what South Africans can produce. And, you know, he's fortunate with the facility that he's got, and he can put numbers in it because they have 12 lanes. And it's showing that that's what we should aim at. So if you ever wanted to see what the system was like, that's perfectly the place to go to. You want to go to see how Rocco is handling the numbers, because it can only get harder for him. You know, and we set up satellite clubs many years ago, and then everybody tried to, you know, South Africa wanted us to sort of not have satellite clubs. But I do believe that our input at satellite clubs with those coaches is important. So satellite clubs should be a good thing, not a bad thing. And, you know, they should have left, you know, Rocco to carry on with his satellite clubs and myself down here in the Pietermaritzburg area, which feeds off Durban as well, because those coaches are learning from us. We still don't know everything. I can tell you that. You know, every time a swimmer comes back from the States, I learn something new. Every time I go somewhere, I learn something new. The World Cup was something special last year, you know, with what Matt Sates did. And I think he taught a lot of people a lot of things too, that you can go there as an unknown and in 1 month turn your life on its head, you know, and that's what he did, you know. But as I say, that little story is something special because it was all of Darian Townsend's times he did, you know, almost 10 years ago. He broke the world record, and I recognized that Matt was just as fast. You know, we had a situation at South African Champs last year where Matt only went a 155 at the Champs. And I thought to myself, am I actually going crazy? Do I really think Matt can go the speed of Darian Townsend? And I just stuck by the program, you know, which is what Darian did. He came here 6 weeks before he broke that world record, and he worked with us here in Pietermaritzburg, and then he went out and he broke the world record. So Matt's times were all on the par with that, and we trusted in it, and he produced that result. So, you know, 151 from a 155 seems almost impossible, but the times had shown that already when he did that 157.6 to qualify for the Olympic Games last year. So, you know, those associations is what our young people have to like realize, you know, they can go that fast. The confidence that we're trying to install in our swimmers, but they need to race against those top swimmers. If they don't, it's a little tough. So Tatiana racing at Olympics and then coming back here has shared that information with a lot of people. You know, the top swimmers do get involved with as many people as they can, but they've got to actually train. So it's a little bit difficult. South Africa is not as close. The cities are not as close as you think sometimes. You know, Durban and Pietermaritzburg are close, but Johannesburg and Pretoria are close. And then you've got Cape Town that's a long way away from us. So getting them together, the tournaments, you know, you'll see the people like Tatiana, you know, mixing very nicely. So she's a very sociable girl, and it's really the pride of South Africa at the moment after her performances last year.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. She did incredible and shocked the world in a way of you know, winning that event, but breaking that world record. But is there now this expectation on her and maybe even Matt Sates to now go and do the same thing in Paris? Is that weight of expectation going to be really heavy for the both of them?
You know, I'm sure that they're going to feel it because it's actually the media that normally builds up that hype. Those swimmers at that level know that anything can happen. They may not even make the final when they get to the next tournament. I remember Penny Haynes winning the double gold in 1996 and being the team manager and the head coach in 2000. Everybody is talking about the number of medals you're going to win. And I kept on reminding people that it's an Olympic Games, okay? Anything can happen there. You get the underdog coming through. The unexpected is always going to happen.
Right.
And they were expecting somebody who's already made history by winning the only double gold at Olympic Games in the females to do the same thing 4 years later. You know, so when she didn't quite do that, you know, everybody sort of said, oh, wow, you know, what happened? Nothing happened. This is swimming. You know, swimming teaches everybody its own lessons.
Right.
So, and we must learn from it. You know, we all trying to, as coaches, do the job like everybody else, you know, and sometimes we get lucky in the way and we get the best results. So pressure is something I make sure that is not on the kids when they go anywhere. They're there to do their best, and that's all. So I remember Penny Haynes saying way back in 1999 when she broke those 14 world records in about 3 weeks, I think. And her answer to a question about the pressure and everything was, every time I go to a swimming meet, all I'm trying to do is my own best. that just happens to be the world record at the moment. And if people keep it that simple, I think they'll actually do a lot better.
Right. Yeah, that's a good message for Matt moving forward, and being that junior world record holder and now breaking into the opens and having to compete at that top level now. It'll be a good message for him to stay focused on the simplicity of just going out there to do your best, yeah. Tell me this: you've had a huge hand, obviously, in this Midmar Mile open water event. That's the largest open water event in the world. Can you tell my audience a little bit about that?
Well, it's a swim that was started off in 1974 by the SEAL Swimming Club, and the group of water polo players that got together. The guy who's still living there, the founder, Bathia Batnot. The 50th anniversary next year, it's going to be a huge affair. But when I took over 32 years ago and started organizing this event, I had help from a lot of friends because I was involved in organizing of events at that stage with a company called Rave Event Marketing, and Ray Thorne, who now lives in Australia, was doing really well with events. And my input was, I worked for him, and then I sort of was handed this event when the previous organizer, Clive Chapman, said, okay, it's got too big for him, and they wanted to put restrictions on the numbers. And I said, I think we just batch people and so on. And we built it, and it went from 2,500 swimmers, and we went up to 6,000. And then over the next few years, we broke the 10,000 mark. And we got to 2008, I think we peaked at about 17,500 swimmers.
Jeez.
And we've sort of leveled off at about 12,000 to 13,000 swimmers now. COVID affected us quite a lot. And we've always tried to use this mile concept we have here in South Africa. It's a straight mile across a dam, and it's a very nice facility. We bring a lot of United States swimmers across there. We've had Ashley Twitchell racing here a lot of times, and she's won it, I think, like 7 times. Kerry Ann Payne from Great Britain is one of the leading winners as well on that side. We haven't had top males coming across from the United States, so we're still waiting for that to happen. But we've just had last week a meeting with Swim Oz. I don't know if you know much about their event, and they started off with the same concept. A couple of the people in amongst the businesses across there have done Midmar Mile, and they're sort of trying to, emulate the same thing there. So we're going to be working closely with Swim Oz as well to try and see if we can. I can't understand how South African swimmers registered are less than just the number of swimmers in Florida. You've got all those states. Why do we not have the world's greatest and highest numbers coming from the United States? And I believe that it could if we just change the way it is set up. And I think if they get it right, I'm waiting to see if we can get the world's largest open water swim actually coming out of America.
Man, what I do know about South Africa is you have the world's largest fish in the ocean that have really sharp teeth. So what's the story down here? We're doing an open water swim in shark infested waters. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we don't. We go more in dams here.
Okay,
there's a lot of dams that are really clean, and fortunately this Midmar Dam that we have in Pietermaritzburg, is just such a nice venue. I think the venue has been one of the major reasons why it has grown to this extent. When I have a look at the events that are in the ocean, they don't draw as many numbers, and obviously that's one of the reasons is people get a bit nervous of the ocean swimming, but also it can get rough here in this country. It's not like the waters of Florida where you can swim out and relax out there. There's waves that are breaking and they can get quite big. We've had, when I was a triathlete in the 90s, we've had events that the swimmers actually couldn't go out there and do the swim. It was so rough in the sea. So, it's just very relative. If there's a good venue like Port Elizabeth where they have the Ironman's competitions, they had to cancel the swim just over a week ago. They had to cancel the swim because of the rough sea. So we tend to avoid the seas. We go to the dams that are really clean. But again, if you go to some places in the United States, we're going to have alligators. So it's probably just the same as our sharks in the oceans here, but probably more south than up at our area.
That's good to know. Now, you did mention 50th anniversary next year, so that sounds like something I could come down for, right?
Yeah, it'll be good if you travel in. It's always the second Sunday weekend in February.
Okay.
And let us know. Bring a team of swimmers with you. We're looking for that top guy who can race. We had an Australian male winning, but we haven't had a USA male winning yet. So
how far is the
see
swim?
what we can do. It's just a straight mile. So it's a one straight mile that we start on one side of the dam, and you swim a straight mile across to the finish. So 2 separate start and finishes. And we got to bus people to the start and things like that. It's a whole festival atmosphere. We run over 4 days. So the first 2 days, we have people doing all 8 miles. They swim 8 miles. There's some people doing crazy things like swimming 16 miles, and they raise funds for charity. So the funds that we've raised for the various charities that are involved has been over 4 million rand, and next year we want to break 5 million rand. So we give a lot to charities with the swim as well. And then on the Saturday, we have like the fun team events. So we have a non-company section, family section, and company teams that can come through and swim. And then on Sunday, we have what we call the age group competitions. And that's where the sort of 13 and under girls, then we have age groups of 10 years, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. We go right to 81 and over. And then we have the grand finale, which is the 14 to 30, where our top competition swimmers go to. And we have hotspots at 400, 800, and 1200 meters where they swim for the money, you know, as they're going across the line. So, so we add a lot of competition to it. So, you know, it becomes quite a special event at the end. And we're hoping that we're going to get over 15,000 next year because it's the 50th anniversary. So let's just see how it goes.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, let me know when it's coming up, if you need me to promote it in any way, or if I can get any information out there in the lead up to the 50th. I'd love to get out there myself. I don't know about competing, you know, for the top prize. I don't know if I'm in that kind of shape, but I might be able to bring someone down who can compete. But I'd love to just get down there and be part of the festivities. It sounds like an awesome event.
Yeah, Steve Monotone has come out a few years, and Lexi Kelly. So if you ever want to chat to them when you see them, they're out on the Californian side. Nice. You know, so we're hoping that they'll be out for the 50th anniversary next year as well. So yeah, I think, you know, as many of you can bring across, we'll see what we can do for you on this side. You know, you know, if you fall into your age group category, I don't know if you've ever chatted to a guy by the name of Paul Blackbeard. He's an ex-South African swimmer, and he's still doing really well in, you know, as a master. He's in his 60s. And he's one of our really top guys. We'll make sure a guy like him is here because he has a huge following. He races out of Australia now, but amazing, you know, ability. You know, he swam in our provincial sides and everything through until he was like 35, 36 years old. So, you know, special people will be out here next year. So if you do come, next year's the year to come. Yeah,
that's it. So I'm in. I'm feeling it. 50 years. Let's go. I'll do it. Well, I appreciate this, Wayne. Thanks for doing this. Nice to get to know you more. And is there anything? Are you traveling with the South African team at all coming up? Are you going to Commonwealth Games or anything like that?
Well, we obviously, I've planned everything for Matt States, obviously, all the way through, and that's why, you know, it'll be quite nice to see if anybody wants to join us, you know, and follow the training type program that he's doing. So we're going to go to Mare Nostrum as the stepping stone to world champs in Budapest. You know, we met amazing people in Budapest last year, and it'll be nice to be back there. And then we're going to have a period we haven't decided on yet before Commonwealth Games. So that is going to be to try and perform. Matt, I don't know if people have picked up, you know, he has this major clash on the first day of World Champs. It's the 400 free plus the 400 IM, and the start and the end. So I've said to him, you want to make your name big? Take on both of them and see how you go, you know. So I have him thinking about that. So we'll have to do a fair bit of work to be able to see if he can take on both, or choose maybe after swimming the heats of both and then decide which one he wants to race, you know.
Wow, yeah, that's a big double. I don't know many people that'll take that one on, but good for him, good for you, and good luck with everything. You sounds like you're doing great stuff, and Matt's a great kid. I know that for sure. So. Good luck, and thanks for doing this. Okay.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. And yeah, anytime, you know, if you want to speak to anybody else here, you haven't got their contacts, let me know. Cool. Talking to a guy like Eugene De Ponte, Laura van Niekerk, you know, those are really special people coming through here. Awesome. Peter could see himself, you know, 17 years old now, doing amazing times in the backstroke. So yeah, you know, they good people coming through.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep in touch with them and get them on the program. I appreciate it, Wayne. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brett.
See you, mate.
Okay.
Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply.